Hello, thank you for accepting my poster at the Digital Research Conference in Oxford. And I'm really sorry I cannot be there. Um, I will very quickly run through the poster just to support the visual display of the poster itself. And hopefully this recording can be in lieu of a talk, and maybe somebody can play a video, or it can be used as a record. Um, I will very quickly start just walking you through the poster itself. So the main problem I faced at the beginning of the research was that I was looking for some research. I was looking for papers in relation to some research that I had to assess the state of the art of. I couldn't start my work until I was able to assess the state of the art. But there was no paper accessible in relation to certain projects that I was investigating. And so my question was, why is it that if there are open access mandates on the websites of the funding councils for these projects, why aren't there any open access resources to be found? And especially because the word mandate suggests that it's a mandatory thing. A mandate is a mandatory policy. But I couldn't. So I started looking into open access policies and what actually mean, how are they worded, and I found out a lot of interesting things which are reported elsewhere. In this poster, I provide a very quick overview of the Open Access Monitor, which was a monitoring instrument which was developed as a result of some knowledge gap. I investigated why are there any open access resources to be found in relation to publicly funded projects in the UK, the founding bodies, where the founding bodies explicitly say that they do support open access. And then I realized that there is no clear correspondence. The fact that they do support open access doesn't mean that they mandate it. So I think the word mandate is wrong. At least at the time when my research started. I think things may have changed slightly today. And I could probably claim that it has changed slightly also because I've started actually counting the effectiveness of their existing mandates to find out that they weren't so effective, or they're relatively effective. So first thing I did is there any methodology that I could adopt to audit these open access resources, and I've evaluated a few, and there weren't actually any which responded to my requirement. My requirement was I need to track the URIs of knowledge resources, and also I want these knowledge audits of open access resources to be carried out online. I don't have to go to the office of the researchers to open the drawers. So a methodology came out called Open Access Monitor, which consists of this very few series of steps, simple steps. Look for a project name, look how much money they got, search for keywords, and see if there are any open access resources that can be traced back to this project or to this funding that correspond or come out from this research or this funding. I must say that there was some study done recently in the last 1 or 2 years in Laxo and Bjork, which look at open access trends statistically. And it's interesting to see how my evaluation, which was a totally different methodology using the knowledge seeker perspective, so actually does match the figures produced by Laxo and Bjork. Laxo and Bjork looked at the statistical analysis of large corpuses to see overall how much open access stuff there is out there, and they came out with a figure in the region of 10%, and they considered it very good success rate. Whilst we looked at the knowledge seeker perspective, I don't know what papers I'm looking for. I only know that Project X got so much money to do research, but I cannot find any papers that can be accessed publicly. Yes, it was like our figure. If you look in the second column of the poster, there is a table showing I took a sample of approximately 100 EPSRC funded projects to see if Open Access Monitor could give me some indication of which projects would produce resources and which not. We created a ranking, a benchmark, and our figure is that approximately 11% of the sample we selected was fulfilling the open access requirements very well, whilst over half of the projects could not be associated with any papers or any other knowledge resources on the web. And this particular figure was consistent with the big studies done by Bjork and Lack, so somehow I thought that was an interesting result. So this poster particularly suggests that we should develop a web service. Now we have a process. We have demonstrated by, I'm not claiming that Open Access Monitor process as it is perfect. It could be refined, it could even be changed, but there is no excuse for not tracking open access resources, especially when research councils are saying that they do support it. If they support it, they should also monitor it. The interesting thing was that a research council says that they don't have money or time to train auditors to go and count how many resources. I think they consider the suggestion ludicrous, and so what has come out of that is, okay, I can appreciate that councils don't have time or money to go and see how many researchers follow their policy, which they call mandates, but we could develop a web service, a very simple, feasible, doable, relatively trivial web app that simply says for each pound, track, for each pound or million pounds, track how many open access resources can be found or are produced. This should be a quality evaluation factor, and in this poster we suggest that not only the web service could be developed, but also a metric that would allow us to check for each for the amount of money given to researcher, how many open access resources are produced, and this metric could be used to kind of warrant further funding or not, I think, very easily. Now, setting up the web service is trivial. It simply can be done automatically, and there will be no investment required other than the development of the web service itself, which can be done within probably a week. Very little effort. So that's it. This is the poster. Thank you very much for listening, and I suppose I will see you some other time.